All right. That should be everything. I should be up. I should be running. We should be live. I don't know. We're still working on the lighting for this kind of a setup. I 100% admit to that. I got a light over there. I got a light down there. I would like to get this light up here, in all honesty, and have it kind of pointing down, and I think that'll be the optimal setup. But for right now, this is kind of what I'm stuck with. I could move that, I think, but I don't know. Right now I've got it plugged in, and I actually think that that's going to be important because I have no idea how long that's going to last. So we're just going to kind of run with this setup for what it is. Right now, I am just super busy. Oh, and actually, I forgot to set up one thing, so let me set that up real quick. It should not take me but a moment because I just saw the first comment and I want to make sure that this actually works. So there, that's set. We kill that. Oh my. Okay. No. Hold on. Something went very, 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 very wrong. I can fix this. Let me get this right there. And let me get in here. Let me turn that off. Bam! Holy crap, that was wild. Okay, that should be right. That should be right. Now I should be able to get this stuff up. Wow, that was wild. Yeah, there. That's fixed. Oh my gosh. I posted the way wrong link and it made a real difference. Okay, what's going on? We should be set up now. That should not happen again. What's going on? Hey, what's up? And oh, I didn't even realize that it was Friday the 13th. That completely blew right by me. Let me fix the camera, cause wow. Dupe. There. And then we will unhook this, move my light over here. I actually think that will help the focus. And now, aside from that crazy fiasco that took place, we are ready. We got at least 3 people here in the stream right off the bat. In terms of over here, we got stop motion guy that's already said hello. We got Denzins. Is that right? I'm real bad with names. Like I am. It's always been that way. That's actually part of the reason that I gave that part to Shane when we were doing the show, is because I didn't want to say the names wrong. But now in this stream, I almost always say names wrong, so it fell on me anyway. And Jake is already here, and we are, for what it's worth, off to the races. So I wanted to start this with a pretty quick little pickup. Nothing too big, but a pickup nonetheless. I did get... That's right. I got the new Fisto, which is absolutely fantastic. He looks really cool. Like, he looks like they really went out of their way to make something special on this one. And I am instantly interested in what this is. And then alongside that, I also picked up the Flying Fists He-Man. So, there. Double, right off the bat. Got really good ones. Like, those guys I am looking forward to. I think they are absolutely fantastic. Oh, cool. So I was right? That's fantastic. So, yes. And yes, sometimes, I'm telling you, I do. I mess up names. There's something about... And I think it actually stems back to... So, when I was growing up, I had a best friend. And his name was Sean. S-E-A-N. Then, I started working... And I started working with a guy named Sean. S-H-A-W-N. And I was like, oh, okay. Then I started working with another guy. His name was also Sean, but it was spelled in a way that like made no sense to me at all. It was like Saun, and I was like, how is that Sean? Like, I don't understand how that spelling works. And it has been like that my whole life, that I've run into different spellings for the same name that kind of mess me up. And now, because of those experiences, I look at names sometimes and I'm like, that's, yeah. Like, and then I will constantly second guess myself as to whether or not that is right. And I do it all the time. Even when I am right, sometimes I just don't feel like it's gonna be right. So, the way that I want to handle this, because I am way behind on so many figures, and like, I work tomorrow. I like I said, I've been working 10-hour days. I've been working 6 days a week, and then I of course come home and I have my dogs and everything else, and a lot of things. I don't talk about this often in terms of this show, but my dog is diabetic. One of my dogs is diabetic. I have 2 huskies, and one of them is an older dog, and he's diabetic, and he's also blind, and he has to have a shot every 12 hours, or it gets bad for him. He gets really sick. He has to have his insulin and things like that, and of course they eat along when we give the insulin. And so he has like a shot at 5 a.m. and a shot at 5 p.m. And I have to be home for that. And I have to do certain things to help him out. So it takes a lot of my time, and that's kind of made filming a little difficult, because with the 10-hour days plus the dog, plus trying to see my kid, plus trying to take care of other things, like, it starts to build up and you run out of time for simple filming. So I wanted to kind of get in here and do this so that I could get some live unboxings, and then maybe I'll cut this up and in the aftermath and make small episodes so that if we ever reference back and I say, oh, well, I actually opened that guy, there will be a clip that I can put in the annotations that, you know, this is from this live unboxing or something. That way the opening never gets lost. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to do here. And so, but what I don't want to do is open up all the same stuff. So if we open up one from Origins, we will then, of course, be moving on to open something else from a different line and try to keep things moving and get a bunch of different figures and whatnot as we go. Funko has a video game where you can play as He-Man and other Masters of the... I saw that. I have no idea what to expect from it. And toy games really scare me a little bit because, like, I was one of those people that invested in Disney Infinity. Like, I put real money into Disney Infinity, and I bought a lot of them because I thought me and my kid were just going to go ham and we were going to play this game, like, basically forever. And it did not have the living power that I hoped it would have. And I would normally say TGIF, but I work tomorrow. I work another long day tomorrow. Understandable. Understandable completely that you are diabetic and you understand it, because I myself, I'm diabetic type 2, so I have to constantly watch things like when my weight starts to pack on. I have to really watch it and kind of get my stuff back down and everything, and I have to constantly pay attention to how I'm eating and what I'm doing. Really? That's crazy. Well, I'm glad. I'm so glad you're recovering. That's wild. You lost your sight? Well, then I wish you all the best as you do recover, because that's fantastic. Because oftentimes with sugar, in terms of diabetes and whatnot, by the time the damage shows up, it's too late to walk it back. It's not very often that you get a chance to walk it back. It's really difficult. It's not only really difficult, it's sometimes nigh impossible. And I've seen people where by the time the damage shows up, by the time the sugar is basically decayed that issue and caused that problem in the first place, you can't just like recover. You can learn to live with it but it's almost impossible to walk back. So absolute praise to you. I'm really, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. That is an absolute thumbs up. You deserve all the praise on that one, because it's hard. It's hard. People that don't have it don't get it. You have to watch your blood sugar all the time. You have to take care of everything that you eat. You have to take care of how much you eat, when you eat, how often you eat, how much in a single sitting, what kind of things you eat. And then it's not just that. It goes further than that. You have to watch things like your weight, and you have to exercise, and you have to keep up with yourself, and you have to take care of yourself. And it's a constant battle, because if you fall behind, this is one of those diseases that you will live with and fight with for like 20 years, and then all of a sudden it will hit you. And it will hit you hard out of nowhere, where you think you've been doing really good, only to figure out that you've been doing one thing wrong. So if you're doing good with it, keep doing good with it, because it's a hard fight, and it is a full life changes fight. When you start doing good and you make those changes that are good for you, they have to be life changes. They can't be like, oh, I changed my eating habits because I had to take care of this one thing, and now I've done this, so I'm just fine now. It's never like that. You have to keep at it. It has to be life changes. And it's hard to do, man. People don't know when they don't have it. And they also don't know how hard it can be for some people to leave sugar. To leave sugar is not easy. I mean, it's in everything. It's in everything. One of the things that I discovered that kind of blew me away, I know we're supposed to be doing toys, but this is a hangout. One of the things that blew me away and really changed my life, I remember when I first was diagnosed and I started kind of looking into what I could do and what I couldn't do. One of the things that blew my mind was I went to the store and I said, I got to get something to drink, because I had this very long drive. It was like a 2-hour drive, and I knew that I needed something to drink on the way. And I stopped in a gas station and I said, oh, you know what? I'll get some milk. So I go to the fridge and I open it, and I'm now at the point where I'm kind of looking at the labels and everything, because that's where I am. I'm looking at the labels. And I look at the label and I go, what? Milk. And a lot of different milk that you will find on the shelves has more sugar than a good... There are sodas that are a better choice for a diabetic than milk. Like, and orange juice? No. Like, orange juice is a save your life, you have low blood sugar kind of thing. Orange juice is straight up dangerous if you don't realize orange juice is 1,000 sugar. Like, it's crazy. And some of the stuff that you try to eat also, because you got to watch carbs and sugar at the same time and kind of try to keep those down while building protein diets. And like, so I basically stick to, I eat mostly 90% of my food is whole food lifestyle, like whole foods, real chicken, beef, things of that. Everything I do, I have to cook. So I do a lot of cooking and take a lot of stuff with me places, because you have to. Yeah, sugar is the worst venom. Yeah, even for people that aren't diabetic, they don't realize that by the time the sugar has taken its effect, it's too late. Let's see. I don't have diabetes, but I have cerebral palsy. So I have to stretch every day. I have a friend that had something. That sounds very familiar to me. It's a screw up in your muscles, if I'm not mistaken. People really don't know. And see, that's the thing. When you have a problem that doesn't show on the outside, people don't know what you're dealing with. Like, because you look fine. Like, but you don't realize, like, how hard somebody could have it. Organic food only, tons of water, exercise on a daily basis. Absolutely. Well, you keep going, man. You keep going. And I need to open something. Let's see. For one, I have Masters of the Universe here. Just off the top, we have a couple of things. So let me post choices here. That might be a good idea to do actually in general. Let me set some of these to the side and we will find a talking topic real quick. Let me go up and see if I can't get this set real quick. That would be perfect. Yep. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. This could be interesting. So oh, it fell down. Let me move my mic. Let me go. These are Origins choices. So we're going to possibly do that. We're going to do this. That's a possibility. And those are the possibilities. So let's run this real quick. There, I'll put that up there. Those are the things that I currently have just sitting right off to the side. That is what's sitting, that's waiting to be opened from the mainly cartoon collection. Some of it is not the cartoon collection, but let's give that a little bit of time, and then we will open one of them. So far, I have Evelyn sitting at the top of the ask, and like I said, we'll try to go thing to thing here and open up a couple things. So. Yeah, okay, so I was right. Okay, so it screws up your nerves and muscles along with autism life. And it can be. Autism is another thing. Unless you have dealt with somebody and you understand, then, yeah. Unless you've dealt with somebody and you truly understand, that can be really tough because not all forms of autism are easy to lock down. Like some people you can very blatantly tell that somebody is autistic. You could say something's a little off, and that's not to be rude. I'm just saying you come across somebody and you have to take a second and go, okay, I think I know why something's a little off, and then you kind of realize and you kind of back up and you find a way to handle that. But if you don't know, and you don't understand it, it can be people can be very quick to judge against. And that's a problem. I have a nephew who's autistic, and I also have a couple of family members who are on the spectrum and whatnot. So it didn't take me long to figure out there are certain tells that you can hit really quick, and you can notice certain patterns and be like, okay, this is why they act or do like this, or why they see certain things this way, or why they feel certain way about it. Oh, and by the way, today we are eating out of Sexy that's terrible. We are drinking out of Sexy Jessie. I went to an anime con, and this was there, and I was like, holy crap. I was like, that's awesome. And I had to buy it. I was like, I had to buy it. So it kind of sits on my desk. Let's see here. So far, we've only got, right now, it's unanimous. It's absolutely unanimous here, so I think that what we are going to end up doing okay, so I gave it time. We are closing that poll because I think we are 100% set. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I would have bought a Sexy James. Just, I don't give a shit. I would have done it. If they would have had both Jesse and James in like the bikini thing, that ridiculous, I'd have bought that tumbler. I don't even give a shit. I would have. I'd have been like, you know what? I need it. It's too ridiculous. I have to have it. I'd have bought Sexy James. I don't give a shit. Okay, so Evelyn, we're doing Evelyn. So this, not sure why this is acting the way that it is. I don't seem to be able to I could turn it off there, but I don't seem to be able to turn it off on this pop out for some reason. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. Doop. Oh, there we go. That's why. I think that's, yep, there. I fixed it. I know how that works now. I'm still learning. There's a couple things on this that are kind of weird, and I kind of have to fight with it sometimes to figure out exactly what it wants me to do, and I'd never done a poll, so I couldn't figure out how to turn the poll off. But yes, we do have polls, and I will try to start make use of them and whatnot. Hey, what's going on, man? Yeah, she did, man. She was like, what is happening? No, you don't. Dude, I debate all the time. That's not an issue. I get a little passionate here and there, but no, I usually don't hold grudges for anything like that. Let's see. Okay, so, dude, absolutely. Absolutely. So, let's see. Let's do it. First off, I'll stick with my regular format just so that we actually have something going for this. Evil-Lyn, cartoon collection. My interest in Evil-Lyn, she is one of my favorite characters from Masters of the Universe, beyond a doubt. And not just because she's attractive. I actually have her I did a list. I did a list of my top 5, and I prefer smaller lists because it really narrows the ideas down, allows me to kind of talk. The top 5 Masters of the Universe characters, Evil-Lyn is on that list. And she's specifically on that list because I find her to be infinitely interesting. I don't see her necessarily as a bad guy. I see her as a selfish guy. I think it's very interesting. She's not necessarily a bad guy, not necessarily a good guy. She's just kind of self-centered. She's out to do for her. And especially with the new storylines that they have put onto her, she lived in a situation where she found herself helpless, and she will never be so again. And whatever that means, whatever form that takes, is what it means and what it takes. And I think she's very interesting because you can't turn your back on her. She is always looking for the next best deal to set herself in the best possible position that she can be in so she never faces that situation again. And I find that very interesting. I like that a lot because it makes her, maybe this will sound bad, but it makes her human. It makes her, there's something about that I can understand because I can understand where that comes from. I know the kind of life that she lived, and now I can see why she's done the kinds of things that she's done, while at the same time, it's not just evil for the sake of being evil. She won't just stab you in the back necessarily, but if the opportunity arrives and you have not been good to her, she's not your friend. And I just find her infinitely interesting. And I also like, one of the things that really got me was the first time she ever took the hat off and I saw the white hair. I don't know why, but I really loved that for her. I thought that was absolutely a fantastic character design. Plus, she's a dark, evil sorceress lady in a world based on stuff like Conan the Barbarian. So, why wouldn't I, right? Now, we are going to have some problems with this figure. Just so we put it out there as we go over this, because I will have a couple problems with this figure. This is awesome, but it brings up my first kind of problem. Let's open her, okay? Okay. Here we go. Yeah, okay. Even the comic book is giving me a little bit of a problem here. I need to see. No, and no. Why is she yellow? She's not yellow here. What was it that made them decide that she was going to be yellow? Because I really do not understand. So far, the cartoon collection has been nearly flawless. And then they did this, and I really don't know why they did this. But, here, they give you the idea she's yellow, but they also give her the cape and everything. There's a couple which this bars the problems with this figure. let me see. Where did I put my... There they are. There's my snips. So let's cut that. She's got stuff on her feet here. Dink. Got stuff on her feet there. Dink. And she's got one here on her weapon, which we will cut like this. There. Okay. She came with 2 items. They're not blowing our minds here. This is that Ankh that allows her to change shape. This was in one of the actual episodes. And this is definitely the best wand that I've seen from, in terms of the paint job and whatnot, because often the Origins do not get very good paint jobs in terms of this. So that actually catches my attention. So here she is. We're on what has become the standard female buck of the cartoon line, which is fine. Differences here and there, like this is definitely different than what we got with Teela. I'm not seeing any necessary problems here. She's fine. My only real problems, because the face is really good too, actually. That's a good face. That's done very well. I don't hate that at all. I think it's very solid. I think my issue here, though, in all honesty, is that 2 problems with her. She's yellow. And let's just point this out right now. The toy, the original toy, is yellow. But this is from the cartoon collection. And the cartoon collection is supposed to be a representation of what we've seen in Filmation. And it's not. Like, why does she not have a cape? That's a small nitpick, and one could say, but when they did She-Ra, She-Ra got her cape because she has a cape. She has a cape. I know that's a very minor thing, but I think the reason that I'm really harping on it is because so far in the cartoon collection, they have not missed a beat on this. Like, at all. They really have not. Almost every single cartoon collection that we have opened and we have talked about has been very solid. They just simply work. Like, they're very, very, very well done, and they always hit the mark, and they always look like the character they are supposed to look like, and it's just, it's almost perfect. And the thing is, I don't understand. She's cool. She's going on the shelf, and I will be very happy with her. But I want another one. I want them to try again. If you ask me, she's the weakest one in the line now. In terms of the toy collection, in terms of the cartoon collection, she is the weakest one in the line. She does not have the cape. She is not supposed to be yellow. Minor things, but have you seen that She-Ra? I mean, have you seen Merman? Because we talked about him. He-Man, Adam, Cringer, Man-at-Arms. Like that was one of the ones that we had an opportunity here. I talked about Man-at-Arms. Like, that's Duncan. That's Duncan's face. That's Duncan. Even other characters like Clawful, they did the animated version of Clawful. Too bad. We opened Too Bad. That's the animated version of Too Bad. And I even saw that they are going to be releasing a Faker cartoon collection, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm pretty sure I'm not dreaming about that. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing that. And he's going to be Faker, but he's going to be the animated version. I don't get it. I don't understand why they did that. So, added to the shelf, happy with her, but I have 2 complaints, and I feel like those complaints are justified. I really do. That's the best wand we've ever got for her in terms of origin stuff. Okay, let me put these over here. Bow, 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 and bow. We will open you later. But right now, that's out of the way, and then we will be able to move on to something else. And I see a couple of things that I'm probably going to add. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Can't wait for the new Eternia version soon. I did go and I did pre-order it. I was lucky enough with all the overtime and everything. I was able to do it, so that actually helped me quite a bit. And then, yes, she knows what it means to be hungry. Yeah, that's a good wand, man. Toy collecting ASMR. Yeah, let me know if that's any kind of irritating in the audio, because if all the crinkling and everything like that is irritating, I will hit the mute on the mic, because I personally don't like the... I know people are like really into that for some reason, that ASMR thing or whatever, but like, to me, like, noise is noise. I don't know. Yeah. So let us debate here. So I have... Yep, let me make this real quick. I'll set up the next poll, because I definitely have a set here that makes sense. So we have... That's one choice. We can also do him. Let's also add... He's a possibility. And the 4th possibility is... Let's go him. That is the choices. That is the possibilities for the Masterverse guys. So we will open up a Masterverse next, and those are the 4 Masterverses that are sitting to the side of me right now that we have a chance at opening. You know, the week wasn't terrible. Actually, the week wasn't terrible. Has it been that long? Oh my gosh. That's crazy. 10 years. That's wild. 10 years. That blows me away. Let me fix this. Bam, bam. There we go. Oh, interesting. That I did not expect. Then will not complain about that for a second, but that I did not expect. So far, Scareglow is winning this competition, and I will love opening Scareglow. I don't give a... He's one of my favorite things in all of Masterverse. Like, all of Masterverse. I find him infinitely interesting. So if he ends up winning this, and we're not going to give this way too much longer, and I will have to kind of set to the side the next line of stuff that we're doing as well. These are going to go to the side right here. And these videos, I will definitely have to find a way to kind of manage them a little bit more. This is a very first run with this kind of thing, and I don't know if this will become normal. For right now, this is what it is. It's just the easiest way for me to actually open some figures, while at the same time getting a chance to hang out with some people and keep content flowing and everything, and make sure, because I like to post often but editing, especially with my job and everything, it has been tough. This is easier. 10 years is just crazy. That's absolutely wild. Yes, absolutely. And that's why you know that. That's why you know that. I think Scareglow wins, Wes. I think he does. Oh, he's definitely at this point, he's already up to 67%. He didn't win it by a landslide. I will say that. Well, Stinkor and Fisto were the only other ones that even got a vote. And they only, by the looks of it and everything here, that was 6 votes. Not much. I'm only so big of a channel. But that's fine. I think that's fine. I think we're on Scareglow, and that's 100% fine because I love Scareglow. So, 100% fine with that. Scareglow. Scareglow wins the opening. So, first off, are you freaking kidding me? Like, dude, I know I've said it so many times on this channel. I know. But, like, the artwork of Masters of the Universe, this is part of what you are buying. I swear by that. The artwork of Masters of the Universe is some of the greatest artwork that I have seen. I mean, it screams barbarian technofantasy. It is so perfect. It's just unbelievable. It really, truly is. Like, I've seen other toy lines. I mean, of course I have, right? But like, like, I mean, come on. It's not even close. And, I mean, you could do this with almost anything. I mean, like, that's what you get. There's artwork for her. It's okay. I mean, it's okay. It's cool. But, like, come on. Come on. It's not even close, guys. It ultimately blows me away just how good the artwork for this line is. It really, truly blows my mind how good it is. I very much feel like I don't think there's a toy line running that can match the presentation that you get with a Masterverse figure. And I mean all of the Masterverse figures. I'm not talking about just New Eternia, because I've noticed that's a trend now where I'm seeing where people will say, I like Master... I've actually heard this argument. I like New Eternia. I don't like Masterverse. Masterverse is New Eternia. I'm not sure why. That's like saying classics. That's like if we were saying classics right now. If we said, yeah, I like the Filmation toys. I didn't really care for classics. Well, classics is the line that finally gave you the Filmation toys, but that's still classics. This is Masterverse. But also, this is still Masterverse. It's the same toy line, the same bucks, a lot of the same design features. That's the toy line. I'm not sure why I keep hearing that argument, but it is a strange argument to me. It really is. Let's open this up. Okay, there. That is open. So, about Scareglow. Why do I love Scareglow so much? Aside from what he's a skull man, which is, skullmen are awesome, right? But there's so much more going on here than I think could be argued on that front. First off, this figure is sick. Like, he is so good. So let's talk about this. What is this? You know how I said you could do anything in Masters of the Universe? And I've argued that multiple times. I've said Masterverse and Masters of the Universe in general, the reason Motu blows my mind, it is the only property I can think of where you can do anything and it will work. You can make it work. This right here is Freddy Krueger. That's what he is. This is Freddy Krueger redesigned for Masterverse. He is a fear wraith. He is a demon, basically a dream eater, a wraith that feeds on fear. That's where his power comes from. That's exactly where his power comes from. He feeds on the fear of somebody else. It gives him power, and then he will use that to literally destroy you. Just like if you watch Freddy vs. Jason, Freddy at the start is still rebuilding. He is a fear wraith who is invading dreams, who is pulling power to himself by the power of fear, and once you hit a certain level in that fear, he can then affect you. So, like, if you're looking at it, like, there's that really cool scene in Freddy vs. Jason where all of a sudden his shadow goes across the ground and it comes up and then his claw goes out and he stabs that kid and the kid is like, oh my god, but it doesn't kill him. And then the kid like runs off and Freddy even puts the glove to himself and says, not strong enough yet. That gives you an indication of what Freddy is. And that is what he is. In fact, in Masters of the Universe, in the new Revelation, I love Revelation. I don't care. I love Revelation. In Revelation, the thing that she is afraid of, that he wants, when they go to the underworld, and he tells her, I'll give you what you want. I'll give you what you want. But you got to give me something. And she's not He-Man. I think that's one of the reasons I love Revelation so much. She's not He-Man. Teela can't punch her way out of that situation. She says, I'll give you what you want. I'll give you what you want. He says, okay, great. He forces everybody into a nightmare scenario where he's feeding off of their fears. Simple things. Andra's kind of afraid of the undead and things like that. She's scared. And then some people are like Orko is afraid of being a failure. He is afraid that he was given the name Orko. Then he comes to Eternia and he's a joke. He's the jester. He's the butt of everyone's jokes. And while he tries so hard, he can't get it right because his magic's in flux here. So he's afraid of being a failure. Evil-Lyn is kind of afraid that the path she is taking will leave her alone forever. And she's probably right. She's probably right. That's why when her and Orko are sharing the dream, they go to Orko's world, where there's no memory of Orko because we never achieved anything. And there's nobody there because she is alone. And both of them are feeding off this kind of fear, a real fear. She is afraid. Teela is afraid that she may have made the wrong choice and that she's still that scared girl. She's still that taken advantage of scared girl that you saw at the start. In episode 1, she leaves that life because she realizes everybody had been lying to her and everything like that, which is a realistic reason to do something like that. I think Revelation makes a lot of sense. It is a revelation of many different factors, and all of them pile up to reveal actual very well thought out characters that have evolved along the years. And this guy forces all of them to kind of face their fears. And boy, when Orko faces his fears, that is an amazing moment in all of Motu history. It's so good. It's so good. This cape is fantastic. It's very simple. The only thing I will say, wish it was wireframe. But this looks good, and I'm not going to ream it too hard about not being a wireframe cape for a very specific reason. At this point in the line, because this is a very early release figure, they weren't doing that. It's that simple. They weren't doing it yet. And because they weren't doing it yet, I don't think it's a problem. Would be great. This guy would be over the top. This guy would be literally one of the best figures in my entire Motu collection if he had a wireframe cape. And if he was a wireframe cape, maybe if it was a little bigger. I know I'm asking a lot, but if it was bigger, he could literally like come out and then it could flare up real big and everything like that. But I mean, this could be painted better. And I might count this against him a little bit. Because in reality, most of the weapons in Masterverse are pretty decent. Normally they have 1 or 2 paint ops on them. That's not unheard of, where the power sword or the the sword of power, the sword of he, will be silver, and then at the bottom it will actually be a handle, or the axe or something. Usually there is, but there are a lot of weapons like this also in Masterverse that aren't, like where an axe will just be a big metal axe, one color. So hard to say, but I feel like they could have hit at least 1 paint app on this thing. Maybe if this was if this was a different color and then this was like a silver, but then it would be more like a regular weapon too. Maybe if this was done in the same plastic as his hands, that would be cool. Because the plastic on his hands are like a real dark see-through green, and that probably would have been real neat for this, because then you could have gotten the idea that he manifests this weapon. But it's cool nonetheless. This guy, he did come with extra hands. Come on. There. He does come with extra hands. He comes with the straight hand here, his karate choppy hand. This way he could play against Batman in rock, paper, scissors and lose. He also, however, has a hand so he can throw rock so he can beat Batman's scissor hand. And he has weird pointer kind of finger, but not really. I don't know why this is weird to me. This is something that I've been noticing in a lot of these figures that I don't understand what we're doing here. Why does everybody have this kind of a pointer finger, almost like a trigger finger? Was it the idea that some of these Masters of the Universe guys were going to have guns, and so because of that you had to give him this? Is that the idea? I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I'm going to say it's not. Kind of like when they keep releasing Jedis, and Jedis have like the pew-pew hand. Why do they have that? They don't use blasters, like, so I don't tend to understand why we're doing that. This is the kind of long weapon that I want. If we're going to give him something like this, I would prefer that it go all the way down, touch the floor, and still go above his head. It needs to be a little bit bigger than he is. That's spot on. It's nearly perfect. This guy is nearly perfect. Oh, and his head, supposedly, is glow in the dark. I can't test that right now, but from what I understand, his head is glow in the dark. This guy's a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned, he is one of the best figures released in all of Masterverse. He absolutely passes the test. He will be an absolute fantastic figure on the shelf. And I'm very interested to see how he'll photograph alongside certain guys, like in terms of like what I can really get going. And I don't have necessarily any ideas for him yet, but I will figure something out, I'm sure. Let's head back to the chat here. He's just kind of listening. That's fine. That's cool. People talking about the Fandom Night episode. Oh, okay. Dinzens had to take off, but that's cool. Yes, dude. Yes. See, Weird Finger Hand is probably doing the Bring It On finger wag. I don't know. I think my best guess is, because I know there's a lot of reuse in toys, I think that this hand, the reason they keep giving this hand to everybody is because characters like there's a lot of them that have pew pew blasters. But I for some reason, all of a sudden, I can't think of a single one. Zodak. Zodak is the one that was in my mind. Zodak feels like one of those characters that you would have needed that hand for. So characters like that, I'm positive that's why. But then, like, why keep giving that hand to everybody? Like, why? Because, like, Skeletor has that hand. And it's the hand that he holds the staff with. And I hate that because it actually messes it up where, like, he needs this more closed hand. He needs this more closed hand. He really does. And I've seen that. I have not seen that anime, but I have seen pictures of that guy you're talking about, and very much, yes, Scareglow kind of hits that idea. What's next? What I have here? This is now garbage. We have dupe. This is a possibility right here. We'll set these to the side for right now because we are not doing those. And this is... You know what? Yes, I'll add you. These are the ones that we will run for our next possible. So dupe and dupe. And we are going to go... Move. There. We're going to go that, and then we will also do... And then I think we have one more here, which we will be... Bam! Those are 4 Marvel Legends that I have sitting to the side right now. So we'll give that a little time. I have no idea how this is going to look because I actually don't know how many people are hanging out with us right now because I think some people had to go and whatnot, that's the way that it happens here sometimes. But I think we got about 5 or 6 people currently that are with us right now. So we'll kind of see how this goes over and see if anything gets hit. And if absolutely nothing gets hit, that's fine too, because then I will just select whatever I want to open. And that's the way that'll work. But regardless, we'll see what happens. Oh. Nobody cares. Like, nobody cares. I've got a lot of these now. I really need to I kind of need to design my own compendium-esque idea for all these mini comics and find a way to keep them all intact. You know what I mean? Like, I need to find a way to set them to the side so that they I need them set to the side, but I also like to keep them all intact. I'm going to find, maybe if I can find like this Ziploc bag that is absolutely perfect for this size or something like that, and then kind of slide them all in almost like a comic book sleeve. I'll figure it out. Or maybe, wonder if I could customize a kind of card binder for these mini comics. I'm sure there's a way that I can do what I'm thinking. I just don't know what that way is right now. I really don't. You know what license hasn't been looked at with an expanded version? WWE versus Conan universe. Ultimate Warrior, Warlord, Legion of Doom. Okay, so what they have done though, WWE did do a crossover with Motu, and so there is like an Evelyn. I think I can't remember how many different people made it in, but I know like Ric Flair is one of them. Was Stone Cold Steve Austin? Was he one of it? Was he Trapjaw? I don't remember, but there is a line of Motu wrestlers. That's a real thing where the wrestlers kind of have Motu motifs, and that's a thing. So that is a real thing. Oh, okay. So hey, what's going on? What we're doing right now is we're voting on what toy gets opened, and right now this is for Marvel Legends. I have 4 Marvel Legends that are sitting to the side. We're going to open one here soon, and right now Mystique is currently winning. And welcome to the stream. Hope it does something for you. But yes, that's what's going on right now. So right now Mystique and Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, are tied, and I'm kind of looking for that tiebreaker necessarily. Right now we got 4 votes. It is absolutely split, and once I have an idea of what the tiebreaker is, we're probably going to move on and open whichever one of those are. And the Mystique specifically is X-Men movie Mystique, or the Leather X-Men, as it was referred not way too long ago to me. A serious slant rather than a child style. So the thing is, I don't know how that would work. And maybe I'm just not the right one for this, because to me, wrestling is... I try not to insult anybody, but to me, wrestling is childish. And that's not trying to say anything negative. That's me saying that wrestling in general is a soap opera in its own right, with storylines and ridiculousness and and comedy and things of that nature. It already kind of plays to this aspect that it is kind of childish anyway, and I realize people will claim things like the Attitude Era and whatnot, but look, when RoboCop is coming out on stage and saving a guy from a cage and doing stuff, it was always kind of goofy. And let's not ignore things like the gobbledygooker. Like, come on, it's always been kind of goofy and childish for as long as I could possibly remember. There's a dead guy, and like his brother came for him, and like just. It's all like ridiculous storylines and goofiness already. So like, I don't know how far you could take that into the realm of being serious in the first place. Where like Conan the Barbarian, the Hyborian Age, Conan the Barbarian actually shares its universe with like Lovecraft horror. Like you realize that these 2 writers were actually passing notes and letters back when they were writing their books, and they were each doing credits to each other's work. So if you actually look, these like Cthulhu exists in the same universe as Conan the Barbarian. There are hints to the fact that these 2 universes are connected because the writers were working alongside one another to put that in there. And when you have a universe that's built like that, Conan can sometimes get goofy, but Conan never leaves the realm of being what it is. And yes, Conan the Barbarian, look, I have not played Mortal Kombat seriously in a way. In a while. It has been a while. You have my attention. You added Conan the Barbarian to Mortal Kombat. You have my attention again. And I'm not saying anything bad about Mortal Kombat. I just haven't put any real effort into a Mortal Kombat game in a very, 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 very long time. It has been a very long time. Guys, the last Mortal Kombat that I played seriously, I've played the other ones, but mainly when I go over and I see my nephews and I play Mortal Kombat. I have not bought one and sat with one seriously since Deception. I owned Armageddon, but I didn't care. Deception was the last one that I put real time in. I mean, I put real time into that game. I played it seriously, and I have not done that since then. The Shockmaster. Conan, Ghostface, T-1000, and according to links, we're also getting Doom Guy, too. Interesting. And look, Mortal Kombat's been doing this like crazy, where they, like the last one, they had a lot of guys in that game. And I'm noticing we are not breaking the tie. So what we are going to do, it's my show. They tied. We're opening them both. We're going to do them both. We're going to do them both. I know that I said we're going from one to the next, and we're not going to, but you know what? Hey, they tied. We're going to do them both. We're going to open Andrew Garfield, and we're going to open her. So, great. You know what? Great. I'm not sad about it for what it's worth. Not sad about it. So, first off, let's start with Mystique. I've talked about this a couple of times. First off, I love this Mystique. I think this Mystique makes the most sense for Mystique that has ever made sense ever. Her powers is that her body morphs into things. The clothes that she wears is a clever camouflage, an optical illusion. She doesn't actually change her clothes. The only way that would work is if her clothes were made from the same unstable molecules that Mr. Fantastic and the Fantastic Four use. That would make sense, because then the clothes she was wearing would take on the properties of the powers that she's using, such as bursting into flames and not losing all of your clothes, stretching really far, doing things like that. This works for the Fantastic Four because they have that technology. And one could argue that the X-Men, because especially with Xavier and Mr. Fantastic, Reed, they communicate on this kind of level, they could share technology. So the X-Men, hey, we got a guy that turns into ice. Okay, here's X-Men costumes. Here's how I get around that. Okay, unstable molecules. We've explained it now. Hey, I got a guy that turns into metal. Whatever. It's explainable. Which then I would have to... I got to ask a real question about that before we even go forward. Unstable molecules allow the costume that is being worn to take on the power aspects of the person that is wearing it. So when Iceman bursts into ice, he doesn't just cover up that uniform and then when he gets rid of it, his uniform is all wet or whatever. It doesn't work that way. Just like Johnny bursts on fire and then the costume is not... It is also on fire, but it's his powers, and then when it goes away, the costume is, of course, fine because it is untouched. While at the same time, you could punch Johnny, and if you hit him with the right blade or something, you could tear his uniform, right? Okay, stick with me. Stick with me, stupid. Stick with me. If Wolverine is wearing a Fantastic Four uniform, unstable molecules, and he's in a fight with ninjas, and he's got his claws and he's fighting, and they cut him up, does the costume heal? Is that a thing? I mean, I'm almost 1,000% sure it is not a thing, but is that a thing? I'm sorry. I kind of want to know. But I have said, and I even have a video of her where I said, she is naked. Get over it. This is the most accurate thing they could have possibly done, and the design is utterly fantastic. This is probably, and not just because it was Rebecca, and not just because it is a lady, this is literally probably the best costume design in the entire Fox X-Men series. All of it. Like, this is iconic. I'm being very serious about it. It is iconic. What other characters in that can you say looked iconic? I mean, Wolverine looked fine when he was just being a dude. But that was it. And I'm not saying that Wolverine didn't become iconic because that actor is fantastic. We all love Hugh Jackman. But you get where I'm going with that. You don't really care about anything that anybody was wearing. Were you really mesmerized by the cool costume that Magneto wore? There are a couple standouts. And I think the two biggest standouts, personally, in terms of who I thought really, really, really looked it, really pulled it off, was Mystique, because she literally became a fashion trend all by herself. And believe it or not, I actually think that what they did with Psylocke was insane. That costume was so good. It was so good. It really was. It kind of blew me away. And look how many years it took to finally put Wolverine in a Wolverine costume. And just to give it to them, Deadpool. Not the first one. Deadpool. That was still under the control of Fox. You did it. You did it. You did it. Congratulations. I'm being very serious. You rocked it. You did it. Good job. That was so good that Disney just said, yeah, we'll just keep it. Like, they weren't even going to touch it. It's so good. You did it. Disney's probably not bringing this back. But this was good. Let's get her out of here. I'm going to mute the mic so the people don't have to hear and all that other crap. Even though I just kind of did it anyway. But yes. I didn't mute the mic. I pushed the button, but it didn't mute, so I just sat there and was all over anyway, and then I saw that. Hey, you know what? Thanks for calling it out, because it is actually kind of funny. I didn't realize it. I pushed the button and thought for sure that it had muted. It did not. So moving on. She does come with expression hand, she comes with a punchy fist, and she comes with this arm, which I will never use. Because, like, why? I mean, I get it. Maybe they thought this was really clever. Maybe it is. Oh, no. Not that I would have cared, but okay. Here she is. First off, her likeness is actually really good. That's actually really good. Let's see if we can get it to focus in here. I'm really impressed. That looks like her. It really does. It looks like Rebecca. Of course, and let's just put it out there. She's basically a nude buck. So all the possible movement of Marvel Legends is 100% on there's no movement you're not going to be able to make here, okay? That's what I'm saying. There's no like tassels or anything like that that's going to get in her way because she's kind of naked. Kind of naked. Not 100% really. We've got decent rock and everything like that. She's on the female buck with the decent legs. She cannot kick her own butt. Her thigh gets in the way here. We do have the thigh right here. They put their information stuff here on the number in the inner thigh, but to the back, I don't know if that's going to be showing up on camera, on shots or anything like that, or if I'm going to have a problem with that when I try to shoot her. I don't know. We'll figure out in real time when we decide to do so. But otherwise, she's good. The blue actually helps little details like this in the ab work. It actually really pulls that out and really helps to kind of showcase what she's got going on here. That's actually really cool. And all this intricate little detail that you don't actually get to see. They don't necessarily hold the camera on her in terms of that. You would have to pause it to really see all the scale detail and everything. But here, because of what she is, she's a figure, you can easily see where these scales and whatnot were applied. And it's a cool effect, by the way, that the scales kind of turn, and that kind of what creates the effect in the movies. She is a female buck, however. She's only going to look up so much because her hair actually does get in the way. It's a problem with Marvel Legends, actually. It's something they still have not addressed. I think they should start doing the hair like what we're doing with Jada Toys. She will look way down. That's fine. And for what it's worth, she's got a good butt. It's good. She's nice. She's very, very well done. There's no lower ab crunch. That not necessarily that's a bad thing, but there's no lower ab crunch. So there are certain things like you're not going to get any bend here. It's going to be all up to the upper body to actually get anything that you need out of her. That could be a problem for some people, and for some people, it probably won't matter at all. I'm not too mad about it because I'm very used to the female bucks being like this, which is another reason I'm very much looking forward to finally opening up the new female bucks, the new Jean Grey, the Phoenix, as well as the other Phoenix and Black Widow. Those characters right there on the new female bucks, those are absolutely fantastic, and I very much am looking forward to that. But we have now added movie Mystique to the shelf. I am not mad. Oh, and for what it's worth, she stands very easily. Probably because she's actually flat-footed, because she just has naked feet and not like big ridiculous heels. And there's nothing that like stops her balance because she doesn't have anything that hangs off of her like capes and things like that. So she's fine. Very easy, but enough detail is there to really make her worth a purchase. And she didn't actually cost me very much. I want to say that I got her off Amazon from I'm pretty sure it was independent seller or whatever, but it was not very much at all. I think I paid $12 because she's not exactly something that's sought after. A lot of people did not like those movies. I personally still enjoy those movies even today. So yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I researched Wolverine's costume can't regenerate, but Deadpool's can. His suit is as self-healing. Well, no. See, you looked up Wolverine's costume. I didn't ask that. I asked if Wolverine was wearing the unstable molecules that Mr. Fantastic created. That's the reason they can use all of their powers. Mr. Fantastic's suit is not just stretchy. The unstable molecules allow the suit to take on his power set. So when he stretches, the suit stretches. It's using his power. When Sue goes invisible, she doesn't have to necessarily bend the light around the suit, which later you figure out she can do that anyway. She can make anybody invisible at any time that she chooses, regardless. So her powers aren't necessarily the greatest idea to explain that, but Johnny is. Johnny bursts on fire. If he's wearing clothes on top of that suit, his fire will burn the clothes away. They're gone. They're not coming back. But when he stops being on fire, the unstable molecules revert back to their natural state, no longer using his superpower through the unstable molecules. If Wolverine is wearing a Fantastic Four uniform, an unstable molecule uniform, can it regenerate? Because if he gets stabbed, he will regenerate right there, which I imagine would also activate the unstable molecules in the costume to regenerate in the same spot that his body is currently regenerating. Is his costume self-healing? And the very fact that Deadpool's costume is self-healing, I don't even understand how that would work. Unless somehow he has the unstable molecules that the Fantastic Four use, and if he does, then that just answered my question right there. It would answer my question, would be yes. It would be yes. Wolverine's costume would also heal. But Wolverine doesn't wear a costume like Deadpool. It's not an unstable molecule costume. At least that's, I'm assuming, what's going on with Deadpool, because it's the only thing that makes sense. Otherwise, self-healing clothes, like, if that's a thing, somebody is ridiculously rich in the Marvel Universe right now. Like, somebody has a business that is never going to die, quote unquote. Okay, so let's check this real quick. Bam. Still doing pretty good. Let's bring this around. There we go. And I want to make sure that that is set. There. Okay. Next, Andrew Garfield. This, after opening him, I will only have one left to track down. I still need to get a Tom. I don't have one yet. I want one. I have not got one yet. But I will. I saw one that I could buy. He's sitting at right around 40 now. So it's not that I can't afford one. It's just that I have not bought one. That's really about the gist of it. I just have not bought one yet. But let's open him. Let's add Andrew Garfield to the shelf. And before I even open him, I know without a doubt this one's staying in the collection. This one is, this is what I want. This is my choice. This is what I want. So this time I will actually mute the mic while I open this, so you don't have to hear me cutting it and moving it and everything else. Okay. Andrew Garfield. We have Andrew Garfield. Here he is. And when this camera, and that's another thing about doing these live, that I'm going to have to either get a new camera or start getting used to the idea that this won't be as perfect as the main camera back there. But he does look like Andrew Garfield. It looks good. The likeness is pretty solid. You gotta hand it to Hasbro. That's right. I said Hasbro. I didn't just say Marvel Legends. You gotta hand it to Hasbro. Hasbro seems to do very, very good likeness. Like, they really nail it sometimes. And when they're on point, man, they are really on point. The hair is solid. It's big. It's kind of poofy. He really has it, man. I'm telling you. It looks great. It absolutely looks great. It looks like him. Oh, did I get good clarity there for a second? It looks like him. Okay? This Spider-Man costume, in terms of on-screen Spider-Man, this is the best. This has been the best. And I understand the final swing. That looked really good. We haven't seen it yet. A single frame doesn't justify anything yet. They may not even use that costume. Let's just be honest about it from the get-go. Until Tom wears that costume in full live action and we see him do more than just swing by the camera once, it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. I love the idea of the final swing suit, but we have to see it in action first. Then I will make a determination. As for right now, this is the best Spider-Man suit that we have had. I mean, it is just... This was Spider frickin' Man. Like, right now, he does have the web shooting hands. That's what he started with out of the box. He does have a punching hand. And he does have a hand. It's not a climbing hand. It's not a grabbing hand. It's some kind of expression. I don't know what to tell you this is. I'm going to call it an expression hand because, yeah, that's what I'm sorry, that's what I got. The webbing it feels raised. Like, it feels like the webbing is sculpted. That is good. That is really good. And of course, all this is not just plain. It's very much that etched feeling material. Poor Garfield, he barely has a butt. I'm curious how crazy we can get here with him, because these Spider-Men have actually had a bit of a problem. They haven't moved all that well. When I opened Tobey, he didn't move as good as I would have liked him to have moved. He's on my shelf still because he's Tobey, and the figure looks good, especially at the price range he was at. But I would actually consider him under par to the current run of Marvel Legends, just so we're aware of that. And I imagine that the first swing is probably going to be the same. And this guy feels like he might move very well. He's got good butterflies and things like that. But he's also given me a little bit of trouble in the upper torso already. I can feel it. Because like here, I'm trying to get a decent swing, right? Something that really brings his leg up and out. Kind of like forward. I want his webs. I want him to pull up across his leg. Something like that, right? That's what I'm kind of trying to make happen. And he's really He's really fighting me on it. I can get pretty close, though. This guy feels like he moves better than Tobey did. And maybe that's fair, because Tobey was a little stiff as Spider-Man. So maybe we leave that alone and we call it movie accurate. I don't know, to be fair. But I got to see the full look. This head will probably go in a box and only be used for photography purposes. Because in reality, when I put a Spider-Man on the shelf, it's not, I don't usually use the Peter Parker head. Like, I have like 4 or 5 Peter Parkers at this point, and they just don't really go on the shelf like that, because that's not what I'm interested in. Holy crap. Put your head on, Spider-Man. He is, this is that, wait, do I have it on? There's no way that's... That ball joint is really acting crazy. I probably should have brought some water up. Without being able to heat up this ball joint here, this is a very, very, very tough fit. So I don't know if I'm going to get to show this to you right out of packaging. Yeah, I don't know. That's really rough. That's real rough. Okay, so without water, this head is very small. I mean, it is very small. It does not want to go on here without a lot of force. Oh yeah, it's the head. 'Cause you just watched me in real time put his head back on and nothing. No problem. Nothing. Let's try this again. Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. This head needs heated up. Like, this needs to be heated up to go on there easily. It does not want... Ugh. Crap, did I just get it? I think I got it. Wow. Okay. That was very, very rough. Like, it was very rough. If you get one of these, it almost hurt my wrist. You want the truth of it. Like, that, I'm dead serious. There's a little bit of pain right here. Like, that almost hurt my wrist to get that head on there. Have some water ready. Have some hot water ready, which really, I guess, for this kind of thing, you always should. Normally, I have a hairdryer, and sometimes when I'm actually filming, and I'm not doing the live show, what I will sometimes do is when I need to flip parts or something, I will go and I will lay these parts out on like a like the bathroom sink or whatever, and I will take the hairdryer and I will go across them a couple times. Woo! And then once I have it, where I feel like I've got it just malleable enough, just a little bit, I don't want it too crazy, but just malleable enough that none of the hands or anything will give me any problems, then I'll come and go on camera and be like, all right, here he is, and I'll put him down, I'll talk about him, I'll boop, boop, and put his parts on and off and whatnot, and we'll be able to look at the different heads and whatnot. That didn't happen here, because right now I'm just doing this live, and I did not bring water up or anything like that. And boy, I'm noticing I probably should have with him, because that was crazy. But there he is with his tiny spider head. Tiny Spider-Man head. It's tiny. It really is. It's like, it almost looks weird. Like, doesn't he? Am I imagining that? Does his head seem small? Like, I mean, he certainly felt small when I was trying to put it on. But like, maybe it's because his hair, with his hair all big and everything like that, this head is so like big. But like this, it's kind of bizarre. And it's not like, I mean, it's on there now. It's not like, you see what I mean? It's not like it's not placed right. Like, this is how far down it looks. This is him looking up, which I would argue is not necessarily good for a Spider-Man. I feel like you can kind of pull it back, but I feel like Spider-Man heads should be able to look up because you got to get that swing and you want to get that crawling and whatnot effect, and you're not going to get that with him. He's not going to be able to take that kind of a pose, which I imagine will still be fine. I'll still find some cool ways to display this guy, but there he is. Andrew Garfield, Tiny Head Spider-Man. That's what I'm going to call him on my shelf now. This is Tiny Head Spider-Man, and I've added Tiny Head Spider-Man to the shelf, which leaves me only the final swing to get, and then if nothing else, I could put them all on the shelf pointing at each other, or whatever. I could do that. I could do something goofy, but for what it's worth, he was good, man. I still swear by this. I still would tell you that Tobey made a better Parker. Garfield made a better Spider-Man. I had trouble believing him as Parker. No trouble believing him as Spider-Man in this costume. This was the best movie costume that they have done as far as I am concerned. Period. But there we go. He now has been added to the shelf. And I have my complaints, but I'm willing to overlook them for what this is. One could argue that if I want a definitive version, it might be time to invest in something like Mafex or something. But for right now, I wanted these. Marvel Legends released them, and I wanted all three of them from the Marvel Legends collection. It's just what I wanted. And you could argue that was stupid. I wouldn't argue against you if you said so, in all honesty, because I very blatantly see the problems in quality, because I do not believe that he is up to the current level of quality inside of Marvel Legends. I mean, look at the Spider-Mans that we get from Marvel Legends and tell me that this guy is on par with that. He's not. But I don't hate him. And maybe that's a nostalgia thing. But in a way, that's partially the reason we collect things anyway. So I don't care. I am happy to put him on my shelf, in all honesty. It will not bother me at all to have him on my shelf. And to have a new Andrew Garfield head. Awesome. Let's check the chat, which right now... There it is. Well, I know that that's only partially true, because I know that there have been a couple storylines where not just the Fantastic Four and whatnot, not just Mr. Fantastic, but I know that there are people that are actually out there that do outfit superheroes, and you see there have been actual comic book storylines with other people where they talk about where they get their costumes and materials from, and it does not all come from the Baxter Building. It does not all come from Mr. Fantastic. And a lot of it actually comes from some pretty strange sources. Checked. Movie Deadpool's newest suit was given to him by the TVA. The TVA oversees space and time and has unstable molecules in their arsenal, so Deadpool has them. Yeah, which is what I was saying. Unstable molecules would allow your costume to heal, which means if Wolverine was wearing one, his suit would heal. And I don't know if you're the only one in the chat. I just know that the chat kind of went quiet there for a minute. But some people did specifically say that they were like listening, not watching. And that does happen with a lot of these live streams. It does happen. So depending on what part of the live stream we are in and what we are currently talking about, what we're currently going over, depends on how many people actually jump in to the conversation anyway, because that's just kind of the way that this will work sometimes. So it's no, it's no, never mind. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, which means we need one more figure opened to get to 5 figures. Let's see, what do we have sitting over here? These are off the picking block right now. I have 2 BTS that are sitting here. Those are Legends. I have two Jada that are sitting here right now. So those are a possibility. I have... Oh, hold on. This might be perfect. Because if these are 3... I need one more of those, and that will work. That will work perfectly. So let me move that, this. There. Perfect. There's those. So that'll give me a standard right there. And then I'll put these back down here. I don't know what other Jadas I have sitting around. So let me put those there for a second because we're not out of time yet. Oh, would I add a Tyson figure to the shelf? Absolutely, I would add a Tyson figure to the shelf. That is beyond question. I already have Muhammad Ali on the shelf, so that video is already out. So, like, yes, I would add a Tyson to the shelf, especially if I found him in the same scale as Ali. There's no doubt in my mind I would add that to the shelf. No question. No question. In terms of Jada, I'm not seeing the other ones, though I know I have them. Just got my Jada Street Fighter Wave 3, and that line just keeps taking up more space. No, I understand that completely. Dude, oh my gosh. Absolutely, I get that. But for right now, let's do this and okay, so let me get this next one ready for us. Bam! The next one that we are going to do is going to be... Oh no! Oh no, what was that? Oh, let me turn that off. There. I accidentally entered full screen. It really it took all my visuals away. That really messed me up. So let me get this back working again because that really messed me up there. 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 There's one of them right there. So we'll put those over here. We'll do this. Perfect. Pretty sure this is the way this goes, actually. I'm so used to typing that. There. And then, for the last possible of those, we will just simply... And, bam! There, that should be up and going now. That's the next wave of possibilities. And yes, there is a reason that 2 of them are included as a single open. There is actually a reason for that. Specifically, I will not open them unless I open them together because there's a story that goes along with them. Let's see. It's only been 90 minutes. It feels like 4 hours by now. Dang! Somebody does not like toys. It surprises me that, like, you actually kind of blow my mind sometimes with the amount of stuff that you know and then the amount of stuff that you don't know. Kind of blows my mind. And no, Duke. No, I never think Duke and think Duke Nukem, but that's just a very different field of our personality. I want to be honest with you. I grew up in the time of Duke Nukem, and I didn't think it was good then. I know how that sounds, but I just didn't. It did not blow me away. I did not think it was great. It was not my favorite thing in the world, and almost everything that I ever saw from Duke Nukem, it almost seemed like you were playing a shooter as Johnny Bravo. That's the way I view Duke Nukem. I know, because I've actually said that sometimes in my friend group and had them be like, what? Duke Nukem is awesome. You're just Johnny Bravo in a first-person shooter. Like, it really feels like that. I don't know what that means, but okay. I don't collect them anymore, but Classified is the only line I think that can consistently hold a candle to them because of all the accessories and variety. Dude, pound for pound, I think, personally, okay, every single time I say something like this, I have to make sure that people understand this is a personal opinion, 1,000%. Look, I think, pound for pound, Classified is the very best, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, it is the best valued toy on the entire toy market, bar none, unquestionable. I really don't think that you can do better. Like, the head sculpts, the body design, the engineering, the quality, the amount of accessories you get, the price point, the size, the faces. It is unbelievable to me that they have maintained the quality that they have maintained at the price point that they maintain. It blows me away. It really, really does. I do not think that anything currently in toys even comes close to comparing to what G.I. Joe Classified is putting out. It is pound for pound, dollar for dollar, plastic for plastic, the best toy line running. And here's the thing. I don't even necessarily like G.I. Joe. And I am buying Joes. I mean, do you get what I'm saying? That's what I mean by how good this line really is. This line is so standout and so good that it took a person that has never watched G.I. Joe, that does not play G.I. Joe games, that only kind of had figures when he was a kid, and most of those figures that he had, he just kind of bought on a whim because, like, his neighbor played G.I. Joe all the time, and he wanted to play with that neighbor, so we would pick up some Joes and we would go across and play guys. That's what we used to call it, play guys, or play war. And that was my entire association with G.I. Joe. I have only ever seen one episode of G.I. Joe ever. I have read about 20 books. I've watched one episode of the original series. I owned maybe 20 Joes, maybe. And I have seen the live action movies. That's all my G.I. Joe experience. And then I saw these toys. And I was like, holy crap, those are good. And cool army dudes, like cool army dudes, cool ninjas, cool army dudes, cool sci-fi, just a little bit ahead of our technology curve, but just enough that it can be relatable. All the different body sculpts, the designs, I was like, hey, I'm in. I'm in. I can't help it. I'm in. This is some of the best I have ever seen, and I have to own some of it. And then, after I said I have to own some of it, I saw the price point, and I said, how are you maintaining a $20 price point? Like, how do you keep your Joes in between $20 and $40? I do not understand how you are doing that. Like, I cannot. It blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind what they are able to do in that toy line. It is the best, pound for pound, plastic for plastic, price point for price point. I don't think you could do better. It's just unbelievable. Love what you do. Well, thank you, because sometimes I question what I do. In all honesty. So it's fantastic to hear that actually somebody gives a crap. You know what I mean? It really does. I'm being serious. I really do honestly appreciate that anybody even bothers to have a good time here. Oh, and by the way, Johnny Bravo in a first-person shooter, it's not bad. That almost sounds like it would be funny, like it would be a good time. And here's the thing. I have watched people play Duke Nukem. I played the first two of them. When I played them, they just felt like standard shooters where I was basically Johnny Bravo. And I've watched people play them, and we've laughed while we play them. But that's as far as it goes for me. Duke Nukem, for me, has no replay value and no enjoyability past the first run of jokes. After that, it really dies on me. Now, I could watch Johnny Bravo. I could watch that entire series 4 times through, and it wouldn't bother me at all. So maybe that wasn't the best way to compare it, but that's what I'm trying to say. Is it's basically that character trying to be serious, and I don't see it. I'm sorry, it's not for me. It's not for me. I don't know why. It's not for me. Duke Nukem goes in the design to be too cool to actually be cool file. Dante from Devil May Cry. I can understand that. I can understand the way that you just put that. I really can. The only thing I will say is that I actually kind of like. Dante from the Devil May Cry series. Or rather, I guess I did. I'd be interested to go back to that game series and see how I feel about it today. I'm being serious. I would. I'd be very interested to see how I feel about it now. Because I wonder if it's changed. I've noticed a couple of different things that I've went back and watched again as an older man that either I love now because I see what they were doing with it and I see how good something was, or I go back and I watch it as an older man and I go, oh, I don't like this at all. And that's kind of surprised me. And some things have really grown on me and whatnot. So I'd be very interested to see how I felt about that Devil May Cry series again. Because I remember really thinking that was a good series. Would I still? Or has it aged out? Have other games really done it so much better now that it would feel like a clunky mess? I'd be interested to know that. I really would. Also was the surprised how much you know and don't know meant to be an insult. No, you misunderstood that. You misunderstood that completely. No, do not take that the wrong way. Absolutely. No. It took me a second to process what you were asking. No, sometimes you will kind of blow my mind with the amount of stuff that you know. Like you know a vast amount of material. And then I will say something that like almost feels like you should. Or like I'll show something that like I just kind of under the assumption, oh, everybody knows what this is. And then you'll be like, I have no idea what that is. And I'm just like, whoa, what? And that's what I mean by that. Because it just, sometimes it really does shock me that you'll be like, I've never seen any of that in my entire life. But then you will tell me things or like go on about stuff that you do know. And you'll go at length to the point where it's like you really know this stuff. And maybe that's why. Maybe it's because you really hard focus into a thing that you know, and that makes my brain think that you know vast of all things. And I think that's why it surprises me sometimes when like I'll go on about 4 or 5 different things and you'll be like, I have no idea what any of that is. That's why it surprises me. We're pretty much the same age. It's crazy to me that you weren't into G.I. Joe. No. Okay, see? And that's just it. I get that. So, I know people... Look, I can understand this better than I think most people do, what you're saying right there. The entire world was into G.I. Joe. And I bought G.I. Joes. And I played G.I. Joes in the backyard with my buddy. But somehow, I'm 40 years old, I was at the absolute height of G.I. Joe. And I saw things that I liked, but it never grabbed me. And I have no idea why. I was super into Turtles. I was super into Ghostbusters. And I really liked superheroes. And somehow, G.I. Joes and Transformers, I knew it was a thing. And that's about it. I just had no interest at all. I've only ever seen one episode. And that's the reason that 2 of the characters were a single thing, because I will be talking about that episode the day that I end up opening those. Bill, you're younger than my dad, but look older than my grandpa. It's awesome. You say that to me a lot. You say that like I look old as crap. It actually surprises me because maybe we live very, 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 very different lives. Or maybe us white people age badly. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say here. Like, because like, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of my friends that I grew up with, like a portion of my friends that I grew up with, really, I'm being serious about this, people that were like in my class and whatnot, I know a lot of them that look older than me. And also, this might be part of that. If you want the truth of it, if I get rid of this, it makes a huge, huge difference. Like, it would surprise you how much this makes a huge difference. But I'm going to say something here. I started graying. This is not an exaggeration. I'm being very serious. When I was in high school, when I was 17 years old, my girlfriend, we used to sit at the park, and she used to pick the gray hairs out of my head. I grayed at 18. And it just so happened, because there's footage of me back when I had hair and everything, there is footage of me with solid black hair. It's an illusion. And I was not dyeing my hair. The camera did not pick up the gray. The cameras weren't that good yet. So early YouTube episodes, you couldn't see it. But as soon as we switched cameras, the gray really came out and you could tell. Because I was going gray at 17 years old. Not an exaggeration. I'm very serious. I was going gray at 17. And I never exactly figured out why, because the rest of my family didn't seem to have that problem. Let's see. And I'm not dissing Devil May Cry. Like I said, I'd be really interested to see how I felt about it. Regardless, my point stands. I'd be very interested to see how I feel about it. You misunderstood my comment completely, but regardless. There's about no way to... There's no way around it. We only got 3 votes. They all went to Duke. Duke wins. Duke is the guy that's being opened here. There's no question about it. Duke is the guy. Which he just happened to be the only guy that was sitting back there, so that's perfect. Move, Shredder. So, we're going to open Duke, the leader, as far as I was concerned when I was growing up, this is the way that I felt, the leader of the G.I. Joes, okay? It's Duke time, and it's from the Classic Collection. So the Classic Retro card back, I honestly feel like these are 2 lines here, and I would argue that they very much are. I believe that there are Retro Classic figures, which are on the Retro cards, and then there's Classified. And I do personally see a huge difference, and if anybody else doesn't, I'm not sure how you don't, okay? Because, let's just be honest about this real quick. This, right here, is a Classified. They take the original figure and they modernize it. This is not the G.I. Joe that you remember growing up with. It's simply not. And you can see that with a lot of different characters from this line. They appear different, to the point where some people are actually mad about it. Currently, one that I know was getting a lot of interesting anger, which I actually thought was very unwarranted. But people were mad when they released Jinx, and Jinx was sleeveless and had the tattoo. And people, I saw a lot of people online that were like, she's not supposed to be sleeveless, that's supposed to be all red, blah, blah, blah. I understand. But this is Classified. This is what Classified is. It's an updated version, a reimagining of the original line right here, modern day. The Retro sometimes replaces a couple of pieces to get them back to what you remember, and will fix the coloring. And this is really apparent on like because sometimes it's literally just a color thing that's kind of messing people up. It doesn't feel right because the color's not right. Well, if you look at, and we've already had this video, Jungle Recondo. We've already covered him twice on the channel. Jungle Recondo came out in the Classified, and he specifically was for Tiger Force in that line, and I bought him. Then I went back and bought him again because I wanted the G.I. Joe that I had when I grew up, because I remember I said I only had about 20 G.I. Joes. Jungle Recondo was one of those G.I. Joes. And so my mental image of him is not of the new stuff, it's of the original stuff. And that is where this comes in, because this Duke right here, this is what I remember when I was growing up. This is another one that I had in this kind of packaging. Basically, this is what I bought all those years ago, back when they were O-ring figures. And here he is, again, all these years later, with modern articulation, modern engineering, modern sculpt, but almost exactly what I remember growing up with, and that is really cool. I can understand why some people would prefer this and would personally wait every single time a Joe is released just to get their hands on this instead of the other option, Classified. But let's open this guy up. That was a lot of crinkling. I got really glad I muted the mic on that one because that was a lot. Like, it was a lot. But I got it. It was a lot of crinkling, but I got it, okay? Duke, for about $24, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, that's what these figures are costing right now. Two hands, punching hands, so that he can punch cobras in the face. Wow, you're a real hard ass. Now that I say that one out loud. But yeah. Here he is. This is him, man. And this is what I mean. Like when you talk about Joes right now, look at this. Could be a real guy. That face sculpt is so perfect. It is unreal. I mean, this I have seen $80 figures. I have bought $80 figures that cannot match that level of quality and detail. I have done it from this right here to the veins on his arms to the belt that's actually a floating piece to the badge right here, to the pocket design, which is sculpted, by the way, not just painted on, to the little intricate little details of the sleeves, to the rolled sleeve part right here, to where the shirt does not tuck in perfectly evenly all the way across, to the belt, which feels like a rubbery part. That might be a floating piece, actually. It doesn't float. It's definitely connected, but it feels different than the rest of him. To the pants that all have texture and design. To this right here, where it very much feels tucked in and not perfectly all across the way. I mean, this figure at $25? How? Like, and I'm not kidding. How? Like, this is the same company that is doing Marvel Legends. This is the same company that is doing Star Wars. And it blows my mind what they are getting out of this. I mean, it really, really, truly does blow my mind. Because it is very good. And you know what else is really cool about these new G.I. Joe? These new G.I. Joe, unlike the old ones that I grew up with, Duke had a handgun when I was growing up. And he couldn't do that. That seems like such a small little thing, right? It's almost laughable. It's almost like one of those things like you're like, big deal, Bill. So what? So he could put the gun. He put the gun in a holster. Like, guys, when we were growing up, Duke had a knife. This Duke has a knife. And that knife goes right there. He has a boot knife. Okay? And it's there. He has the backpack. I almost wish this was a separate piece. It is not. But really, am I going to complain at this point? Oh, by the way, every G.I. Joe had to have a backpack. Like, it was just like a ridiculous thing of the line. And if you didn't have your backpack, your Joe almost felt like he was missing something. Like, and they would go really out of their way, even for Joes that they had no reason for a backpack. Like, what are you doing? Like, and they would find a stupid reason to put a backpack on them. There was a G.I. Joe. I just love toys so much, so I know weird things, even though I didn't own them. Like, I'm constantly watching toy tubers and stuff like that. But, there was a G.I. Joe that, carried a little house thing on his back. Like he would, and then you like take it off or whatever, and he like could put up the walls. So like he was carrying like a little outpost on his back, and you'd look at it and be like, and there was that one GI Joe. He almost had like, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I wish I had a picture of this. There was a GI Joe that carried like what looked like a tricycle. It's like a little. It's like a little funny. It's like a Power Wheels, Like he carries it on his back. It's a backpack, and he like runs into battle or whatever, and then he takes the Power Wheel off his back and puts it down, and then rides on it. Whee! I'm sorry, it's so stupid. It's really bad. It's really bad and it's really stupid. But they did that. Everybody had to have a backpack. Well, he has one, and he's fantastic for it, okay? This visor actually moves, which I didn't expect that to be a separate piece. But this helmet, I'll bet you, fits right on his head perfectly. It does. And there we go. Am I about to do that? No. I actually don't like this helmet, but it's interesting that it's a choice. Because the helmet almost felt like part of the design. You get what I'm saying? Like, I understand where that helmet comes from. So it's cool that it's even a thing, because you saw this helmet in a lot of promotional material. Now, like I said, I did not watch the show, but I remember seeing that helmet a lot on like pictures and on promotional material all the time. So it's kind of crazy that he has the helmet. He has a pair of binoculars, and they could easily just go around and sit down or whatever if you wanted to. That's fine. And then he has two different kinds of guns, which I don't know anything about pew-pews necessarily, but he's got this, and he's got this. I think one is a more realistic gun, and then one is more a cartoon, like the cartoon gun that he carried. At least the way that I'm remembering it anyway. I seem to remember this being the thing in the cartoon where he would hold it and it would shoot the lasers. Do, even though it looked like an actual, like a gun that you would have in the military, but it wouldn't, I'm getting at? It wouldn't work that way necessarily. It would shoot like lasers and whatnot. And that's very much something that I remember. But that's Duke. And definitely mine is going to use this gun. Without a doubt, this is the one that I will be putting him with, because it just feels right, is I guess the only thing that I'm going to say here. It feels like this is the one that he should have. Let me move that pointer finger out of the way here real quick. Because I remember I used to use those the bigger guns all the time on the couple Joes that I had until their hands would break anyway, because that was like a thing that happened with all my Joes when I was growing up, is their friggin' hands would break. But there, he's got the gun that I think fits him the most. That's such a perfect face, man. It's so good. I feel like this guy could be a real guy. And I think that's one of the things that absolutely blows me away about it. And like the butterfly joints and everything, like this guy moves well too. I don't understand how they're maintaining the price point that they maintain, but they sure do it. This is an unbelievable toy line. Like, for what you are buying, this is an unbelievable toy line. The price point is insanity. Absolute insanity. But Duke added to the shelf. Perfect. That is all the figures that I will open today. I figure 5 in an episode, and then what I will probably do is I will probably go back through this video, in all honesty, and I will probably cut this into segments, like I said, in terms of just the review parts, cut out the part where I'm opening, do minor edits, and throw them up as actual episodes. And the reason for that, specifically, is so that I like to reference other videos that I've done and talk about things that then lead back to old conversations that we've already had. And so if anybody discovers my stuff later on, at any time they can go back and hear my views on other stuff. And I just think that's important. I think, and I also think that it helps for people to understand what I do here. I'm not just coming on here to like do toy reviews. Pixel Dan does that, and he has a lot more following than I do, and that's deserved. That's deserved. I have no problem saying that. I 100% believe that in terms of if you just want to know about the toy, if you want a 5-minute video that says, here's the toy, Shartimus Prime, he's another one that I would say right there. They review toys. That's really not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the fandom and the stories that go into this. Why? Why bother? Why does it matter? Like, what does it mean to me? What does it mean to you? That's my interest. Every single one of these videos are meant to be little toy podcasts. That's kind of what it is. I want to talk about why I bought a thing, what it cost, what I see in the industry, what interests me, what I like, what I don't like. Things in my first impression that really stand out about a figure or really make me go, ooh, I don't know about this. This could be a problem. That's all fine in terms of the toy review. And if I miss something in that aspect, that's fine too, because I'm not interested in showing you a review necessarily. I'm interested in talking about the toys. And so I will probably go back through this video and cut just those parts and then make them actual postable content. That way, if I reference it in a different video, because I've already had this problem before where we've opened things live, and then later I'll be like, oh yeah, we opened Power Princess, but it was in like a live, so I don't really have that clip. I can't reference it back, and I can't talk about anything about that. I don't want that to happen again. So that's the reason this video, I decided to kind of format it. In between the episode filming, I wanted to talk and actually go to the chat and everything, which I'll go back to here in a minute. And then that gave me a chance that as long as I'm keeping enough of the format, I'll be able to kind of place them as regular episodes. And then if I do call back to it, if I'm like, hey, this, we've already opened this, or we already talked about Duke, I'll be able to say that. And then you could go back and hear whatever things I had to say about Duke without having to hunt down this live and like click through and find where we talked about Duke. I don't want people to have to do that if they have an interest in going back to any of my material at all. I just think that that's important. Also, by the way, the classic guys, the retro ones, all come with stands. Classified should be coming with these stands. Why Classified is not coming with these stands, I do not know, but it is wrong. Put these stands in every figure, not just the retros. I want these stands in the Classified boxes as well, because these stands are, they're perfect, okay? They're perfect. They were designed for Joe's. They have a symbol. It's neat. You'll really never see it once I put it on the shelf, but these make the Joes stand up. And in all honesty, they almost don't need them. Most of the Joes stand up fine anyway, but I want these stands every time. Okay, just saying, Jada's Street Fighter Cammy is my figure of the year. That's a big call. I'm very interested in terms of what all I opened this year, how a list like that would look for me. Because here's the thing, if I did a list like that, it would be about what I opened this year. What is my figure of the year? And it wouldn't necessarily be about figures that were released this year. It would be a very different kind of list. A very different kind of list. Which I don't know if I'm going to do something like that because of the way I open random. I just opened Scareglow. And I think he's awesome. He might have a chance of making my list. But I don't know. Man, we covered some really, really good toys this year. And maybe that's what I'll do instead. Maybe I'll do a video where we specifically go back through. I don't know. Maybe I'll do nothing, to be fair. I'm already doing the shelf stuff right now, which is another couple videos that have to come out soon, actually, because I did some more work on the shelves. But yeah. Okay, to be honest, there's a mind blower. I had to read Mad Magazine to learn what G.I. Joe is, and the first character I saw was Cobra Commander. I mean, that doesn't really surprise me too much, because while G.I. Joe's as a toy never really went away, it hasn't exactly been television advertised in quite a while in reality. Or at least not in a way that makes me feel like anybody would take notice. I also saw the OG anime that were stolen from Robotech, then watched Robotech. Really? Also watched the OG anime that were stolen from Robotech. Macross. Well, there were a couple of them. So Robotech is really complicated over here because there's like... Robotech is a combination of Macross and like one or two other shows that then just kind of got the Robotech logo stapled on them, but they weren't actually Macross either. So yeah, that's a whole thing over here because we mess with things for some reason. Classified just needs alt heads and hands. Every time they include them, the fig gets high praise. Just needs alt heads and hands. I mean, I'm shocked at the amount of stuff that we get with every single one of these. Like, from the amount of guns and the stuff they can carry on them, and like, I will say that I have noticed that most of them do not come. In fact, I don't know if any of them come with alternate heads. But is there a purpose for alternate heads in that line? Maybe there is, and maybe you personally know way more about it than I do because I've talked about my history with it, so you very much understand where I'm coming from with that question. Like Duke here, I mean, that's Duke. Aside from him, like, having a yelling head or something like that, I don't know that I would pick one over the other. And then, like, with Zarana, is her name Zarana? I covered her. I remember that. I think her name was Zarana. She came with an alternate hairstyle, so there was no reason to have the different head. And then, like, I also think, what's her name? Is it Flint's? Is it the girl that Flint is with? Oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. She has a spear. Javelin thing. Lady J. She came with the hat, and then she came with the alternate hair, so you could actually take the hat off and put the hair on. But one could argue that's a bit of a problem, where you could take the hat off of, like, Jungle Recondo, and he has a hat. When you take the hat off of her, you have to photograph it very carefully to avoid the fact that the hair is still in the hat, and it looks weird. So maybe an alternate head with her actually would have made a real big difference. But then one could argue you wouldn't have the hat if it would have been an alternate head. And I like having the fact that she can take the hat off and hold it while still having the hair. I don't know. That should have been a hat that was sculpted better to fit. But then it wouldn't have... I don't know. I'm thinking she might be a tough one. In all honesty. There may be very little that they could have done. You just watched the 20th anniversary of Deca Ranger. Really? Any Star Trek coming soon? Would you ever add Wesley Crusher to the shelf? Or did you like him as a character? Okay, so Wesley is... I understand people have a complicated history with Wesley Crusher. I would add a Wesley to the shelf. Questionable as to what one. I specifically like Playmates. Would I want Uniform Wesley, or would I like to track down another one? And I think I would like Uniform Wesley. In fact, if they have it, you know the Wesley I would really want? Alternate Wesley. And what do I mean by that? Remember yesterday's Enterprise? Alternate Wesley? There's two alternate Wesleys that I would be very interested in. Alternate Wesley from yesterday's Enterprise, that would be very cool. Or two, Picard is dead Wesley. That would be a cool one to have on the shelf as well. And it would really be an eye catcher for anybody that even knew what it was, because it would be hard to spot, I'm sure. But that would be absolutely ideal. That would be really, really cool. Because alternate Wesley, Picard is dead, that's the one where you see the alternate... It's the one where Worf is jumping dimensions, that episode. And while he's jumping from dimension to dimension, he ends up in the dimension where Captain Picard died. They did not get him back in the Borg incident. And you see Wesley is on the bridge, and he's a full officer at that point. And that's really cool. And Riker is actually the captain of the Enterprise and whatnot. That episode is really cool because it allowed you to see the alternate take of how, had they went ahead with it, had they not been able to complete and get the contract for Picard to come back, had Patrick Stewart not come back to the show, that's the show we would have seen. And we do get to see a little bit of what that show would have looked like, and it's kind of intriguing. That Wesley Crusher would be the absolute ideal, one of those two on the shelf. Which there's still a lot of space up there for those. I really, really would like to be able to take $100 and just like get more of those. But I know the next thing I want, and I think I found it. I want the old Playmates Bridge box set, original series. There was a Playmate Bridge box set that has all the original crew from the original series. It's all of those figures, and they come with all their communicators and phasers, Type 1 phasers and things like that. And that's what I want next. And it comes with a cardboard little bridge with like a chair and everything for Kirk to sit in and whatnot. I want that. That's the next thing, the next really difficult thing that I want. I've got to find a way. I've seen them on different sites, so I know that I can get one. And they're usually around $60. So I just got to find the extra spare $60, and I want to buy it. And that will basically complete the Star Trek TOS part of the shelf. Because all I want is the Enterprise with that bridge crew standing in front of it. If I found some oddities here and there that really caught my attention, sure. But that's what I want. Just like what I want is the Enterprise D with the main crew standing in front of it. That's what I want. Any other oddities that I come across are fun, but that is my absolute goal in terms of Star Trek collecting. It's just the way that I feel about it. Also, gotta say, I still can't believe it's been 10 years of watching you guys, and even if the show goes away, it's still fun to watch and talk with y'all. I hope it does not go away. The last 2 years have been very rocky for Fandom Night. But I do not have plans to end it. I'm trying to get it back on track. And we had a battle plan this year. But a lot happened this year. A lot. And nobody was spared from it. Nobody was spared from it. Every single person in our group either lost family members, got sick, had some sort of real trauma or life-altering event, and it was a rough year. This year was hard. Like, the more I think about it, everybody likes to say, this was the hardest year. This year sucked, blah, blah, blah. Hard year. I know how common it is to use that, to say that. In this case, if I compare this year to any other year that I have ever been around my friends, that I have held my friend group, And I really treasure my friend group. I have worked very hard and sacrificed a lot to guarantee that my friend group stays together. It is not easy. The older you get, the harder it is. The more life throws at you, and kids and family and jobs and pressures and life in general. And it becomes very hard to hold your friend group together. I'm telling you, if you don't know, if you're a younger guy, before you know it, you're wondering where all your friends went. It takes a lot of work to keep everybody together. It takes a lot of work and sometimes a lot of money and a lot of planning and a lot of getting around some of your own stuff in order to guarantee that your friend group stays together. And it's been hard sometimes. But if I'm being perfectly honest, it has never been as hard as this year. And I'm not talking about like we're not friends. I'm talking about like it's just really tough to guarantee that you can give the proper time and attention to said group of friends because there's a lot going on. It has been very tough, but I feel like we're coming out of it. And I have some pretty decent hopes for next year. It's just a matter of getting it off the ground. I know I'm a fan and I don't want to be parasocial, but I do consider you, Seth, Nick, and I look, I can understand that because if you've been a regular, man, it blows my mind. We have been doing this show for a long time. Like, in terms of me here on my channel, really focusing in on what I do, that's different. This is probably only 2 years running now because for the longest time, my channel was just like a garbage dump. If I'm being perfectly honest, and I can be honest about it. It was just like where I like tried things out. Oh, I want to talk about some video games. Then I do some things. Then I want to do some gaming news. I want to do some news in general. I want to do some weird stuff. I want to talk comic books. And just over and over and over and over and over again, I would just do random stuff on this channel. And I never had an actual focus. And anytime I picked a focus, I would end up leaving that focus because like it's never felt like it fit. And yet a constant in my entire life has been this. This collecting and the shelf and things like that has always been here. And for some reason, I never did anything with it for this channel. Like, ever. I had a mild series on Reploid Productions and Fandom Night called I Collect. And that was it. And I never necessarily loved that show. But I may have always felt the most at home doing that show. Because that show kind of led to this. What I'm doing right here, right now. I feel most at home just talking the fandom of the toys and stuff on my shelf. So I'm going to rapid fire here before I get out of here because I do have to go pick my wife up. Or she'll just be standing outside in the cold, you know. Ever planning on adding Spawn figure to the shelf? I want one. And I don't know what one. I want one. That's it. Probably along the design path of what appeared in Soul Calibur 2. But of course with the cape. But it has to look cool. And if it looks funny to me, then I don't want it. And of course it has to be able to move fairly well. I want one. And I don't know what one it is. So I have yet to decide, but I would love to have one Spawn figure on the shelf, yes. Next year, we start anime Sentais. Now there are more anime Sentai in the coming years. That could be interesting. Anime feels like the next logical home for Sentai, and it also feels like the hold no bars, do anything and everything, who cares about the budget, get some real stuff going with alternate storylines. I think that realistically, anime is the most logical stepping stone for where Sentai has led itself up to this point. There are arguments against it. but there are major arguments for it. I think you could have a real argument as to whether or not that's a good stepping stone. But on a personal level, I feel like we've hit the peak of what you're going to do monster-wise until we take out all the realistic nature of it and just let it go crazy. And then who knows where we could go from there. Anyways, got to pick up my wife, or she'll be standing in the cold, and I'm sure she won't like that. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hopefully this becomes a more regular thing, because I think this went well, and there's a lot more for me to go over, so I will sort the way this is done, kind of change the box layout over here so I can get to the material faster, and I think we will do this again later on, guys.